In my time, I've traveled all over America, and I always feel like we have a bit of a problem. Well, to be fair, we have a lot of problems here these days, but for travelers like myself, there's one slightly glaring issue that can crop up pretty much anywhere in this vast country. The culture. It almost always feels a bit lacking. There's endless swaths of stunning wilderness, epic megacities that cater to every whim and desire, and adorable country towns rife with shopping and activities. But when it comes to culture, real, honest, authentic culture, your average US city tends to fall short. It's not that there isn't any, period. It can just be a little hard to track down. Our national obsession with convenience has created an atmosphere of sameness that spans from coast to coast. The same stores, the same restaurants, the same entertainment venues. Thankfully, there's a small town in the mountains of northern New Mexico that's here to remind us that things don't have to be this way. Welcome to what is without a doubt one of the most interesting and ruggedly beautiful places anywhere in North America, TAOS, New Mexico. Sitting in a vast valley surrounded by the breathtaking Sangre de Cristo mountain range, TAOS is quintessentially Southwest. Around 6,000 unique and artistic souls call this place home. And unique and artistic are two words that most definitely apply to the vibe here. TAOS is home to hundreds of studios, galleries, and museums, large and small. Painting, sculpture, pottery, jewelry, music, all forms of art are revered here with a passion scarcely found anywhere else in the country or the world. Some of America's most legendary artists have settled in TAOS throughout the years, finding endless inspiration in the starkly rustic landscape and warm, friendly people. Just outside the town is the TAOS Pueblo, a Native American heritage site that was settled nearly 1,000 years ago and stands as one of the oldest continuously inhabited communities in the U.S. Sadly, we were not able to film at the Pueblo, but I highly recommend stopping by to check it out. But needless to say, the blending of Native American, Northern Mexican, and American frontier cultures has created a community that stands out as one of the most authentic locales you can find anywhere in these United States. We'll start our journey where almost anyone would, lodging. There's tons of hotels in TAOS and no shortage of cheap rooms for a few nights, but if you're coming here, let me make a gentle suggestion. Do it right. Skip the Motel 6 and head out to the countryside just west of town. Find a place like this, Casa Gallina. This stunning artisan inn is a perfect distillation of everything that makes TAOS great. The proprietor, Richard Spera, has been here for over 20 years. And has taken the art of hospitality to a whole new level. Equal parts B&B, creative studio, meditation space, and organic farm, it's an ideal home base for exploring TAOS and the region at large. The small casitas are filled with locally made art and furniture, and Richard has a knack for swinging by with homegrown goodies at just the right time. You can sample the fruits of the many hand-tended gardens, pose yoga by the stream, or contemplate your existence in the meditation hutch. There's also chickens to feed and fire pits to be enjoyed. Or you can just sit and breathe in the desert air under the branches of the old willow tree out front. It's all up to you. Heading back into town, it's all but impossible to wind up in the beating heart of the city, the historic TAOS Plaza. It's the main tourist draw within the town itself, and one of the many things that makes this place so distinctive. There's an enormous amount to do and see, but the first thing that strikes the eye is the architecture. Believe it or not, TAOS actually has a zoning mandate that requires every single building within city limits to be constructed with an adobe facade, and all of the buildings in the plaza and elsewhere feature a distinctive visual style that gives TAOS its signature look. If you're a history buff, there's site after site all throughout the plaza and the surrounding historic district. Many of the legendary figures of the frontier made their way through Taos at one point or another. From Spanish explorers to fur trappers to outlaws to poets, there are statues and plaques everywhere extolling their stories. If you're into shopping, the options are endless. Fine handcrafts, art, jewelry, pottery, ceramics, locally made beauty products, there's a vendor for just about anything here. And one of the coolest things to me is the variety. There are shopping districts in many tourist towns, but wandering through them, you quickly come to understand that they're all just copies of each other selling the same 8 things at slightly different prices. Not so in Taos. Because of the extensive community of artists and artisans here, each shop has a totally different inventory to browse. And proprietors here will jump at the chance to share the stories behind their products with you. Just ask. The main plaza may feel a bit small at first, but don't hesitate to duck out down an alley or down an adjoining street. Every nook and cranny of the historic district is chock full of treasures just waiting to be stumbled upon. And every square inch is steeped in the art and culture that makes Taos such an irresistible destination. I'll admit, I've never been a history guy. All the dates, facts, and figures tend to muddle together in my brain. But being in Taos seemed to help me overcome this problem. History takes on a palpable air here. One of the town's biggest draws comes from the dozens of amazing museums. Taos Art Museum at Fetchin House, the Millicent Rogers Museum, Hacienda de los Martinez, they all give you unique and interesting perspectives on Taos' storied past. But my personal favorite was the Kit Carson House. It's not the most expansive or diverse exhibit, but what drew me to it most was the story of the man whose life is represented here. Born in 1809, Christopher Kit Carson is one of the most legendary figures of the Old West. His fascinating life took him from mountain man to scout to army general and so much more. At the end of his life, he retired right here in Taos alongside his third wife, Josefa, to peacefully live out the rest of his days in this very building. The museum that now inhabits his former home serves as a quiet but powerful testament to a man who is nothing short of a true architect of the westward expansion of America. Walking through the small rooms takes you back in time to the days of the frontier. A myriad of personal belongings, photographs, letters, and artifacts from throughout Kit's life are artfully displayed within the home's classic New Mexican architecture. It's a simple but rustic exhibition that gives you an intimate look into the life of a Wild West legend. Afterwards, you can take a short walk north to the Kit Carson Memorial Park, which features a quiet and beautiful cemetery as well as Kit and Josefa's final resting place. It's definitely worth an hour or two of your time. While there are tons of amazing sights to see within Taos itself, don't think that it's a lonely bastion of culture in this part of the Southwest. Let me share a little fact with you real quick. Were you aware that just 30 miles south of Taos is the oldest wine-growing region in America? Most people think that winemaking in the U.S. started in California, and that is most decidedly incorrect. The Spanish brought wine grapes with them to New Mexico as early as the 16th century, and the vines have been thriving here ever since. If you enjoy a good glass of vino as much as I do, it would behoove you to take the short drive down to experience another one of New Mexico's hidden gems. This is Black Mesa Winery. Founded in 1981, the growers here take advantage of the Valverde Valley's unique climate and soil to artfully craft some of the best wines around. Step into the tasting room and get ready to experience a massive selection of amazing flavors. At the time of our visit, they had on hand almost 30 wines for a tasting adventure that rivals even the largest wineries of Sonoma or Napa Valley. And somehow, the wonderful folks at Black Mesa are able to offer up tastings for next to nothing. A 12-wine flight of 6 reds, 4 whites, and 2 novelties ran us all of a whopping $16. And the wines here are truly special. My favorite was the 2009 Antelope, a Bordeaux-style blend that gives classic French reds a serious run for their money. After a few hours of tasting, laughing, and wandering the vines, we couldn't help but leave with 5 bottles. Oh yeah, by the way, did I mention the stone labyrinth out back? Or maybe the rocky path that leads you past a trail of 1,000-year-old Native American petroglyphs just hanging out next to the grapes? Yeah, this place is pretty special. Definitely don't miss it. When you come come to a town that is such a crossroads of culture, one thing you're pretty much guaranteed to find is great food, and TAOS is absolutely no exception. I find that in melting pots like this, the local cuisine is often a fusion of the best elements of all the different ingredients that pass through. And with such a knack for thoughtful artistry, Taosian food is... wait, Taosian, is that a word? Taosian, Taosite? I don't know. In any case, the food here is an incredible blend of Mexican heat and technique, native sustainability, and classic American hardiness. New Mexico is also home to one of the great culinary treasures of the U.S., the Hatch green chili. Mix these elements together and get ready to do a delicious. Pretty much every spot we went to in town was great. The Gorge, located in Taos Plaza, serves up modern American fare with a Southwest twist. I particularly enjoyed the polenta sticks with green chili aioli. Our pick for breakfast is Bear Claw Cafe, just a few blocks north of the plaza. Everything here is simple and locally sourced. Their organic coffee was definitely a highlight, and they also tossed out one of the most delicious omelets I've ever had. But the place that really stole our hearts was a bit further out from Taos proper. And let me tell you, this place is worthy of a journey here in and of itself. Welcome to the Love Apple. It's an odd name, admittedly, but step across their humble threshold and prepare yourself for a dining experience that can only be described as pure magic. Housed in a tiny historic church just a few miles north of downtown, the Love Apple is Taos in a nutshell. Over 90% of the items served on their menu are sourced locally and totally sustainably. The chefs here aren't afraid to pursue culinary excellence with a sense of ruthless passion and artistic integrity. Sitting outside on their adorable whitewashed patio, our meal started with handmade cornbread served with exotic butters alongside a half bottle of Gruet sparkling wine. Then came endives with bacon and capers, followed by a profoundly smooth and savory cremini bisque topped with tarragon creme fraiche. As the evening progressed and the sun set, the change in lighting complemented the arrival of our mains. Grass-fed ribeye with king bullet mushrooms and roasted garlic for me, and a house-made tamale with a Walken-style mole and a fried egg for my partner. Absolutely flawless. We rounded our meal out with a beautiful and totally unique honey pignon tart with house-made whipped cream. I realize I'm just fawning at this point in our film, but seriously, this place is incredible. If you've seen anything else on our channel, you'll know I'm a serious foodie, and the Love Apple is among the best restaurants I've ever been to. The ambiance, the service, the food, the feeling of local authenticity. These things blend to form a meal you won't be forgetting anytime soon. It's an absolute must for any serious gourmand visiting this high desert town. When we first arrived in Taos, I looked around and admittedly was a little bit concerned. It's cute and it's cultured, sure, but what can a town of 6,000 people really have to offer as a serious travel destination? But after our 4 days were up, I walked away stunned. We had barely scratched the surface of this endlessly fascinating place. Beyond the galleries, the museums, the food, the wines, just look around you. The high deserts of northern New Mexico are the very definition of a rewarding destination. You could spend weeks just touring the Native American Pueblo communities and immersing yourself in their ancient and fascinating culture. There's boundless nature here, too. Hiking, rafting, mountain biking, and kayaking are just a few of the outdoor activities on offer. And we didn't get to visit half of the fascinating places just within the town boundaries. But while I still feel that there's so much to see and do here, the vibe that is this intriguing town falls over you with a force as soon as you arrive. I genuinely don't know why I didn't see it immediately. Taos is art. It's literally emblazoned across banners hanging from every light post on every corner. The art of painting, of cooking, of winemaking. The art of music, of architecture, of hospitality. The art of history, of life itself. In Taos, every breath, every step, every bite is art. It's one big village of inspiration, a pure expression of effortless individualism. And any place like that is a place I'll always want to be.